12 cylinder. This is the most complete engine.
So you know you're a Lambo nerd when you are watching
Engine is a 12 cylinder.
Lamborghini documentaries while you're working on your Lambo. Yes, I really do like Lambos that much, and I don't care how much of a nerd it makes me. When I'm working on my car, I'm always watching Lambo videos, Lambo documentaries. I don't care. Hate all you want. Anyways, today's video, I'm going to do what all of you have been waiting for, and I'm going to lower the Gallardo with using its stock coilovers. So one of the good things about this car is that you don't need to buy aftermarket coilovers to lower it. Comes with them by the factory. So all I have to do is remove these wheels today, and I'm going to drop the car probably about an inch or so. You can see right here on the rear fender, we've got probably about, let's say, 3 to 4 inches of fender gap there, and that's huge. Way too much, I think, for a Lambo. So I'm going to drop it, I'd say at least half of that. So maybe about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, I don't know. But we'll see when we get the coilovers adjusted. So I'm going to finish removing this front wheel here. I've got the lug nuts cracked loose, got the car up on jack stands like always. Another thing we're going to do after the coilovers is I'm going to remove all these corner lights. I'm going to remove the front corner lights, the rear corner lights, and the tail lights so I can send them out to get smoked. So let's go ahead and remove this front wheel. Wow, okay, it's been like a very excruciating 2 to 3 hours since I stopped the video. Once I got the tire off, obviously this is the coil over here, and how you adjust these, basically, this is the lock nut, so you have to loosen this by turning it to the left like this, and then once you loosen this lock nut, then you can turn this adjuster nut here to the left. I'll show you. This is a spanner wrench tool here, and you just have to lock onto one of the teeth. I'm going to try to do this with one hand here, and now I can turn it to the left like that, and as I turn this, it's going to eventually meet this lock nut, and then I can snug this lock nut up to this, and what that does is obviously it drops the spring and obviously lowers the car. Now, what I ran into for problems was this stupid lock nut here. I could not get loose for the life of me. It was on there. I mean, it was probably the hardest nut I've ever had to break loose. That sounded kind of perverted, and that was not intentional. But this was probably the hardest nut I've ever had to break loose, ever working on any car. I blasted it with PB Blaster. Obviously, I hooked onto it with the spanner wrench. Would not break loose. I put a pipe on the end of it, for more leverage. That wouldn't help. So I went to the store and I bought this pipe wrench, and what I did is I, hooked onto it with this, and then I took that pipe wrench, put it on the end of this to give me some leverage, and finally it cracked loose. And then once it cracked loose, that was just the beginning. You can see right here, right there, well, during the times I was trying to break this nut loose, the wrench slipped off and it hit the threads, so it kind of damaged the threads on the shock body a little bit. So once this lock nut got to this part here, it got hard all over again, and it took me probably 45 minutes to spin this lock nut down this far. So that's about 1.25 inch drop right there, and I think that's about as far as I'm going to go. Any lower than that, then I think the tires will be tucked into the fenders, and I don't want it that low. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop this video. We're still on the driver's side front tire. I've not even gotten to any of the others yet. I may have to do the rest of them tomorrow. But the learning experience from this, if you ever have to do this on one of these cars, is go out and buy yourself a pipe wrench, preferably a bigger one than that. Yes, I'm wearing slippers. But buy yourself a pipe wrench, get yourself a pipe to give you some leverage, soak this thing with PB Blaster really good the night before, let it sit, and then come out here and just, get ready to go to town. But you got to be careful. Obviously, you do not want to slip and gouge your beautiful paint job. I almost did that a couple times. Very scary. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this spring down to meet that lock nut and effectively drop my car about 1.25 inches. We will put the wheel on and see what it looks like when I put the weight of the car back down. And if I like it, we'll move on to the rest of these. I'm going to take the corner marker out here because, again, I'm going to send these out to get tinted. So to get this out, I'm just going to remove this fender liner here. You can see that it goes all the way to about midway of the fender arch, and it's just held on with some Torx bit screws. Okay, fender liner out and corner marker also out, and I officially hate Lamborghini engineers because that was a complete bitch to remove that fender liner. There it is right there. You know, it was pretty easy to take out once I figured out how it was supposed to come out. But basically I was wrestling with it for about a half hour. Once I took all the screws out, basically you take all the screws out that I just showed you before, and then you just pop out this line here. You pop it off. You pop the fender liner out from behind the bumper, and then out from underneath the fender here, and then this thing just pulls out. It just kind of pulls down and then out. Then this light here was, you know, kind of a pain to take out as well, because this bolt right here is pretty easy to get to. Right. I can't point because my hand won't fit in, but see that hole on the left there? That's basically where the bolt was. One of the right side bolt that was holding the corner marker on, but this one way back here that you can barely see, way back there, that one is like impossible to get to with a socket, so you got to stick your wrench up in that little crevice there and slowly wrench the nut out. So when I put this corner marker back on, I'm just going to put it on with this bolt here. I'm not even going to bother putting that one on. I think one bolt will hold it in just fine. So there's one corner marker out, and again, this will be tinted once I send them out. Okay, back at it again. It's been about a week since I cut the last part of this video, and we are on the passenger side now. And so far things are going a lot better this time around. I soaked the entire threads there with PB Blaster, a whole bunch more, and I soaked the I soaked these rings here with PB Blaster for a good 30 seconds or so, and I just put my spanner wrench on there, and the thing loosened right up, no problem. Didn't need any pipe wrenches or anything like that this time, thankfully. So now, I mean, look at this. Look how easy that turns down now. So this right here took me about 3 or 4 hours on the driver's side. So so far things are going a lot better on this side. Oh yeah, check out how easy this is coming down with my hands. This is exactly how easy this should have been on the other side. I don't know why the driver's side was so difficult. Maybe it was just, you know, more corroded. Maybe the aluminum was corroded worse. I don't know. But I'm so glad this is going a lot easier. This is literally saving me hours. So what we want to do is I want to get this lock ring right here down to the point where there's 5/8 of an inch of thread space left. I'd say we're pretty much almost there now. I'm going to measure it in a minute here, but that's going to give us about 1 inch of drop on the front, which is perfect and exactly what I'm looking for here. Okay, so here we are back at it again. We're finally on the rear. Been really busy lately with work, and so it's been about a week since the last video. I've been kind of just taking this project weekend by weekend here. Hopefully I can finish it tonight, but I've got the rear wheel off, and here we are on the driver's side rear, and there's the coilover. Same idea as the front. What we're going to do is we are going to spray the hell out of these threads and these lock nuts with PB Blaster, and hopefully these will crack loose pretty easy, and you know, lower it from there. Now while we're back here, I figure I will point out a couple things. It actually looks kind of dirty back here because You know, this is where the rear wheel is. It'd be nice to clean this, but you don't really see it, I guess. But anyways, while we're back here, I think I'd show you around. I was looking over here in the wheel well, and it looks to be like a radiator in there or something, so that's kind of cool. Nice little positioning for the radiator, and it kind of lines up, or it does line up, with the vent on the side of the car. So these holes here, these vents on the Gallardos, are obviously functional because they, you know, they go right towards that radiator, and then of course I think these vents are here to help cool the brakes as well. So as air is flowing through the vent there, you know, the air is going through these vents here and cooling the brakes. So those are functional, which is nice to know. While we're back here, I'll show you a couple things in the engine. There's the rear axles. That's what actually is connected to the transmission and turns the wheels of the car. Of course, now that we're rear-wheel drive, we don't have these on the front anymore. I don't know what these tubes are, probably some type of wiring conduit or something. And you can kind of see the exhaust manifold if you look really closely. See that little gold looking thing in the background? I can't really point because my hands are full. So that gold looking, weird looking thing right there, that's the exhaust manifold. And right after it is the cat, which is going to be coming out soon because I just ordered test pipes. So anyways, we're going to adjust this coilover like we did in the front, and then we're going to remove this inner fender liner here to remove this corner light, and also we are going to have to remove the tail light this time because, again, still haven't sent these out to get tinted. Great, this side is going smooth as well. Just to let you know, I decided to use something different this time to break this side loose. I went and got this punch right here. If I can pick the fucking thing up. I ended up using this punch and this little sledgehammer, and I just ended up putting it on the lower lock nut there. And I just tapped it a couple times with this hammer, and it came loose really easily. Didn't mess up any of the teeth on the nut this time. So if you need to do this to a Gallardo, get yourself one of these and a small sledgehammer. Soak the threads in PB Blaster. If you can't break them loose with the spanner wrench that I used on the front, like that, then use a punch. I ended up using a screwdriver on the front the first time, and that was kind of a stupid move because ended up chewing up the teeth quite a bit on that nut there. My fault, but you know, I didn't know I had this thing laying around. So this side's coming along pretty nicely. I've already measured the threads, as you can see there. The rear on these cars, the rear sits a little higher than the front normally. So I'm going to leave the rear a little tiny bit higher than the front. So we've got a little over 5/8 of an inch left there, probably closer to 3/4 of an inch left. So just so the car still has a little bit of rake to it. Okay, so this is a pretty cool view, so I figured I'd show you why I got the rear fender liner removed. You can see we're still in the rear here. Rear fender liner removed, and you can kind of see the exhaust right there. Pretty cool. That's the Fab Speed exhaust we put it on in another video. Just kind of exiting there into the tip on the rear of the car right there. So now we've just removed the two bolts holding the rear corner marker in here. So you can see right there, just two little studs right there. Okay, so rear corner marker removed, and I just dropped the washer on there. And pretty cool. On parts like this, you always see like the Lamborghini logo. You probably can't see it because of the glare. It's right there on the right. Right. Oh, come on. Right there. On some parts, it's kind of cool. Some parts are stamped with Lamborghini. Some parts are stamped with Audi. And I noticed on the rear, the one of the frame plugs, the frame has like a bunch of little like rubber plugs on it, I guess, to drain water out of it if ever gets water in there. I don't know. Those have the Audi and VW stamp on it. So pretty cool. I don't know how much this marker probably cost like $500, something ridiculous, I don't know. Okay, so if you, in case you wondered how these grills came off, basically they just are held to the rear bumper with like 4 Allen screws. So in order to get this taillight off, you got to remove this grill. So I've done that. Now I've got 2 more bolts there to remove, and then I can remove this taillight. Also, there were 2 bolts underneath this taillight in here, 2 10mm bolts that I had to remove. By the way, just for a little fun fact, if you want to see just how ridiculous the price of some Lamborghini parts can be, go ahead on eBay and take a look at how much these grills are going for, especially the ones on the front bumper and the grills that go around the exhaust tips. Just go on eBay and type Gallardo exhaust tips, right? And you'll see 2 exhaust tips with attached, you know, in the center of something like this, which is basically the same grill material. And just go ahead and see how much they're going for, just for a little laugh. Okay, so the taillight is removed on the driver's side, and I'm mainly just making this part of the video so I remember where these light bulbs go. So the taillight is removed, and that's what it looks like, just in case you're curious. Not going to spend too much time here. Okay, so I've got the wheel back on, I got the car lowered down, and I don't think it's low enough. Still got about a two-finger gap there, maybe a little more, which I don't understand why. I mean, we turned down those nuts quite a bit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jack up the car again, remove this wheel, and I'm just going to max them out. I'm just going to drop the adjuster nuts on the coilover all the way down and see where that brings us. Okay, so I dropped the coilover on this side to the max, and we're still got about a 1.5 finger gap there. And it could be, I'm thinking, maybe because the passenger side isn't lowered yet. I'm not sure. And it probably looks bigger now because the fender liner is out. But we'll see here when I lower the passenger side, which I'm going to do now. I'm not going to film anything on that side, mainly because I just want to, you know, go right through it as quickly as I can, so we can finish this up tonight, so I can get all the lights sent off to the painter to get tinted. Then next weekend we can get on that Superleggera wing install. Okay, finally done. Passenger side all together, and we are good to go. It's kind of hard to see, you know, obviously the full effect of this until we get the fender liners back on, until the car actually gets pulled out into, you know, out of the garage, so we can get a good look at it. But yeah, I think it's a significant drop, and I think the car is going to look a lot better this summer. Can't wait to show you what it looks like, you know, or what it's going to look like. I can't wait to actually take a video of it when it has the wing on and everything's done to it. So yeah, I think that's it for this video. I will see you in the next one. Maybe we'll install the Superleggera wing next. Thanks for watching, and thanks for following me along during this install.